So after an interesting start to Toycember, where I posted a video with bad lighting because I had a ring go out, a cough left in the edit that I didn't catch until after it was posted, and probably one of the worst typos I've ever had in the title, let's attempt day 2, shall we? So, we took a look at Bone Shaker yesterday. Today, it's Twin Mill, the other half of the current Hot Wheels collab lineup. We do just now know that more of these are on the way. We even know which cars they are using. So here's another example of how these turned out so you can determine whether or not to go in for them yourself. So the vehicle itself is actually exceptionally well rendered, as you would expect from a Hot Wheels collab, looking exceptionally good. Really like the metallic blue plastic that is used for the body, and the electric blue lines and the silver touches around them look exceptionally nice. It's a paint job you really do not see Hasbro go all out for like they used to. It's like vaguely like, this toy gives me like vague Cybertron vibes, and the more we delve into the toy, the more you're going to actually see that. But it is a really good representation. You get the flame accessories that you can stick off and on the exhaust pipes, which I'm going to go ahead and take off now. My recommendation, don't leave these on because this is, well, I guess it's finally on, but like it might get stuck because this is painted silver. These are not, and anytime you're asking to like rub and leave things on paint, things can kind of mess up. So I just leave them off, put them on for like action shots or something. But that said, hard plastic, not soft. So these will not melt your ABS plastic. You see the little Autobot symbol that they tamper there on the side. Of course, Twin Mill's an Autobot. These are all going to be Autobots most likely. The rear is surprisingly smooth. Hasbro really wanted to maintain the actual look of the Hot Wheel car as much as possible. So we got a nice, smooth rear section. Hot Wheels logo tamper on, tail lights and all. You see the exhausts have also been painted in as well. And then, yeah, we have gray hubs, not painted this time, but they are pinned in, so he'll roll better than most Transformers these days. And yeah, just a little bit of translucent plastic there at the top to get the windshield effect in. I do like the overall look. It's a very, very nice piece. Oh, a little bit more. These are inserts, though. This is not painted over. Oh, yeah, if you want a little bit of firepower on this, like a more traditional Transformer, the intakes for the engines are actually 5mm pegged in, so you can go and put some standard traditional accessories on there if you wanted to. So overall, no real complaints about the vehicle mode. This is exceptionally nicely done. We have to get into the robot mode and the transformation. This is where things get a little bit iffy. First step, part forming. Now, you could take this as just like removing parts for accessories, but considering it requires you to remove chunks of the car, I'm going to call it part forming. So there. With that done, though, I can go ahead and get that windshield out. Yep, and we are going to, we're going to deal with that here in a minute. So leave that like that. You will need to rotate it around at some point. We'll get to that when we get to that. All right. This is one of those where like you really don't want to go in without double checking instructions, because I didn't know about the part forming, and without taking those out, you cannot get this guy transformed. So I'm going to start with the rear. Go open the legs like so. And then those are going to double hinge forward. Once they are in that position, go ahead and split them. Feet fold down like this. Rotate them to the front and then flip out the heels. There we go. Then close it up and make sure that tab goes to that slot as tight as possible, because that's about the only thing that's going to be holding these legs together. All right. That out of the way. Go ahead and rotate everything 180 degrees, because this is going to be the back side of the toy. Go ahead and lower those down. We'll go to the front just so everyone can see what I am doing here. Rotate the arms and then start unfolding them like so. They will double hinge out. As you bring them down, rotate the arms until you can make sure that the arms have the round section to the outside so you can see these open tab slots. You're going to need those here in a minute. So, do that on the other side as well. Rotate the fists to be in the correct position. Rotate the windscreen. Make sure these are folded up. There we go. Make sure that's pressed in nice and tight. And now, the unfortunate part. So we got to bring these back in. And you're going to want these with the exhaust pipes underslung on the arm. Just kind of fit this little clip over the front of the forearm. It's going to cover up the mushroom peg and hopefully tab into that little slot right there. There we go. And that is Twin Mill's transformation in a nutshell. It's not bad. It's not a bad transformation. A little bit more bog standard than Bone Shaker. But yeah, it's not a bad toy to transform. Yeah, the issue comes from that part forming. That's the unfortunate part about the figure itself. So take it for what it is. It's your call whether or not that breaks it for you. I know a lot of people get very, very picky with the part forming. I don't know. This is a little bit frustrating because it's one of those parts where, like, if I lose that piece, not only do the forearms look terrible in robot mode, the vehicle mode doesn't look like a vehicle anymore. That's where part forming gets annoying for me. Now, what you're left with is a pretty svelte-looking blue robot, which, again, I oddly get kind of Cybertron vibes from. Like, it feels like that era, and I think especially with the front details sculpted and painted like they are, that's what's really giving me that vibe. I mean, it's a cool-looking robot, you know, albeit with flaws, and we'll get to those in a minute. First off, if you're curious, here is Bone Shaker. Twin Mill does manage to be just a little bit taller at the cost of being a little bit scrawnier. He doesn't have the bulk that Bone Shaker ends up with in robot mode. But, you know, for the most part, not bad, not bad. Thin proportions and thin body is something you keep in mind because of the price of the toy, which these are like $30 for a deluxe class. Yeah, we're just going to keep that in mind as we keep going. Head sculpt's nice. I like the visor that's flipped up and the eyes that are, you know, the yellow visor underneath. I should say the face guard flipped up. That's what it looks like anyway. Yeah, I like little details like the exhaust in the back of the head. That's a nice touch. You know, I like that the head sculpts on these have like a lot of personality to them. And this one is far closer to being an Autobot than Bone Shaker was. I like the detail overall, like the wide shoulders. That's something that gets me, but really, the star here is just the paint job. The electric blue works fantastic. You can see it's done up in small details around the sculpted areas in the midsection. The legs are just the type of paint job you don't get on a Transformer anymore. It looks like if it should be painted, it was painted. And it's a very, very nice looking set of legs. Unless you turn them inward. This is upsetting. So, part forming to me means they had bulk that they didn't know what to do with, so they just had it be removed and inserted somewhere else later. And that just puts me in mind of, like, where is the extra bulk it would have taken to cover this up? Like, just a little bit of an extra panel, something, anything. This is one of the worst hollow leg things I've ever seen, because it makes zero attempt to cover it up whatsoever. That's going to be frustrating for a lot of people. So keep that one in mind too. I want to go to the articulation, because the articulation on these is very good. You do have a ball joint in the head, not as much up and down as Bone Shaker, but full 360 degree left and right. He has those weird shoulders where it swivels forward and hinges up at the torso. So he does have some range of motion there, but it does get limited, fortunately. An outward shoulder there, thanks to transformation, also means he does achieve universal movement, even though it's a little bit awkward to do so. 360 degrees on the bicep. Elbow is not quite 90 degrees. You're going to find that the forearm kibble actually gets in the way of that in a lot of positions. So you have that. You have the wrist swivel. Wrist swivel is there. Waist swivel. You've got that. Universal hips. Mine and the knees, frankly, could stand to be a little bit tighter. I'm not happy with the tolerances on this one, so mileage may vary, but that's how mine turned out. So universal hips, thigh rotation, 360 degrees. Be careful with how you move that, because As you twist the leg for that point, you might uncouple the clip. Knees have a 90 degree, and then you have like all the ankle tilt that you could want, left and right. Yep, there it goes, and you have forward and back as well. So very articulate boy. I will give Twin Mill that. And then of course we have the return of the weapon accessories. So when you mount these in vehicle mode, you have to be careful. They are curved to avoid the wheels in the fenders on the vehicle mode. But in the robot mode, it doesn't quite matter. Attach them as flamethrowers as you will. It's a cool looking accessory. I will admit that, even though, yeah, it just feels very cheap for part for me. But, you know, little flame effects like this, some of the better effect parts you could have, and this is a nice little example of that. So, as a quick and dirty review, that is Twin Mill. Not as inspiring to transform, and yeah, he definitely has a lot more hollowing issues and scrawnier parts than Bone Shaker, which I think are going to make his price points, whatever they are, where you find him, a lot harder to swallow. It is accounted for with how exceptionally nice the paint job is on the toy in both modes, and if you're a Hot Wheels buff, how clean the vehicle mode looks. So it's getting by on that, but Transformer fans are going to take issue with, you know, some of those bigger things that I've just pointed out. So I'll let you decide whether or not it's worth the money. But that said, that is it for today's Toycember. Join me tomorrow. We are not going to do a Transform tomorrow. It's going to be just a little bit more random than that.
Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a Tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday/early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.